Triggering the YouTube bot. 2021, November 9th, Botswana. The first case was seen. Many of the cases are among fully vaccinated individuals. It has 50 mutations. The variant is called B11529, called Omicron, or Omicron. Omicron is the way you're supposed to pronounce it. And of those 50 mutations, 32 alter the spike protein mutations. Those mutations are present in other variants, including variants of concern or interest, however, not at the same time in the same species of this disease, till now. Now you might be asking why, especially when they indicate it's among vaccinated people. And at the 1 minute mark, I'm going to explain this. As of August 27, 2021, of almost 60 million South Africans that exist, 51 million had not gotten vaccinated. It's a petri dish. It's not a surprise that a variant would come from there that would be more intense. The Delta variant that we have to deal with, which is absolutely different, came out of India because it happened to have an area where there wasn't enough vaccination going on. Now, the immediate response to people who are anti-vax is that they're going to scream, no matter how stupid it sounds, that vaccines made it worse somehow. And even some very rational people will say that because it seems like an evolutionary pressure on it. But it happened in an area with a very low vaccine rate. And it happened specifically in an area with very, very low vaccine rate. Gauteng province. It could be 90% of all new cases. They haven't finished testing for it. They have a fast test for it because it's so damn different. They can test for it more rapidly. Why did this happen? Low vaccination rate. That is a consistent characteristic here. But what? It didn't pop up in an area where we have a high percentage of vaccinations. The only cases that we're seeing of this are people who are coming from Africa. Period, full stop. So far, that's it. And you even have health officials in the continent complaining that they don't like being associated with it. No one cares. The United States did a lockdown. If you are traveling from that part of the world, you can't come here. Why? Because we do not want you to come here until we know what's going on. If you're not aware of it, it's not that it's a quarantined country or that it's a quarantined ship. It's that we're all quarantining, reverse quarantining. The world quarantines, and you can't spread it as easy. We need a little time. Rather than naming it the next letter in the alphabet, N, they named it something a lot more distinctive. Omicron or Omicron. Omicron. It's Omicron. Omicron. It's Greek letters. Nobody learns it. That's the last time I heard of how to pronounce it. So, what do we do about it? Not a damn thing. It's yet another variant. It's going to try to kill people. And the thing that does work is the basics. Let's repeat this to ourselves. This is a virus. It is a communicable disease. It requires human beings to transfer it. Not letting humans travel reduces it. What did we just get done doing? I'm asking everyone to think really hard about this disease that takes advantage of everybody deciding to open up and not have a lockdown. Why don't we all just make the decision that we'd rather make this disease die than make some political or ideological statement? Next thing. The vaccine producers are, of course, gearing up for fighting it by trying to make their next vaccine attack this one specifically. And I hope they just go ahead and do it. In fact, a couple of them just announced, we're just doing that because we have samples of it. They're going to isolate it out. They already know that it has 30 fucking mutations. 32 mutations in the spike protein coding for making the spike protein reaction. Now, this also might make it less likely to infect people or more likely to infect people in a way that may be less dangerous. We don't have a listing on really anything other than it's come up and it's scaring biologists. When the World Health Organization takes something seriously enough to say something scary like it's a concern, that's usually a good sign to not panic, but pay attention. Wear a mask because it reduces the likelihood of it getting into the spike proteins in your lungs and throat and eyes and mouth and whatever. Your eyes are less likely to transfer it. Yes, they are. It doesn't matter what you want to hear. Just shut up. You have a lot more surface area in the lungs than you do the eye. Wear the mask. Stay away from people. Stop going out and rallying for freedoms and making it spread more. And stop hanging out with people, I mean this, stop hanging out with people in person, you can do online, but in person, with people who are defiantly and recklessly behaving. For whatever reason. I don't care if they're going to a protest that's pro or con, or a neocon, or neo something. Don't. Just, we have to stop spreading diseases. And that's really hard for some people to tolerate because they're being told to stop doing something that takes literally zero effort. Stop doing that. Now, addressing the big stupid elephant in the room, YouTube. The first line in this video will be en.wikipedia.org/wiki/SARS-2 SARS-CoV-2 Omicron variant. That's it. It's just going to include all the data from it that is put into one simple thing. It's mostly in the Gauteng province, South Africa, and for all we know by now, they're only having this variant be dominant. And that's it. And it has obviously infected people who were fully vaccinated. That doesn't mean it's attracted to the vaccine. That just means it doesn't give a shit about the vaccine. And also, it may be that those are the ones who didn't die, so they were able to get tested. No, I'm not kidding. A lot of people could have gotten this and just dropped dead, and everybody assumed it's some other, just the COVID-19. They're now testing, and they have a rapid test for it. And again, it's not caused by fully vaccinated people if the absolute mind-bashing majority of people in the country didn't get vaccinated. 8 million out of 59, that's like, yeah, it's not caused by the vaccine. It's caused by not vaccinating. It's caused by allowing it to transmit. It's caused by it being able to transmit and get enough samples of humans to be able to mutate. Viruses mutate for various reasons. That's how we ended up with this in the first place. Maybe it interacted with another variant of the same virus or some other unrelated thing and just twisted itself into a knot this way. Again, the more variations it comes up with, the more likely they are to become benign, and also the more likely they are to become dangerous. The human head cold at one time could have been a worldwide pandemic that killed people, and then it turned into something that's just mostly annoying and you can't get rid of it. It's in the virus' best interest, if you want to think of it as a living thing, to not get killed off by killing off its hosts. Until we know what the statistics on this are, and we will know in about a week, we don't even know if this is even dangerous yet. But vaccine makers aren't wasting any time. This is a significant mutation set. But again, a significant mutation could also mean that it's turning into something that won't hurt anybody someday. That's not very likely, but I'm ultra optimistic. So yes, refusing to allow aircraft to fly in from an area where they're having a new burst of a completely new variant with a scary number of mutations in the worst possible place, yeah, that's acceptable. No, I don't care if anybody's triggered by that. And nobody else should be. Stop apologizing for doing what works. And the next thing is, everyone start wearing masks again. Stop acting like the lockdown's over with. I don't care if you're in a country where they said, well, we can relax our restrictions. Don't. And I'm saying this because I love somebody, because I give a damn about these people in Australia. I want every Australian to ignore the fact that they're starting to open up again and lock down voluntarily. In fact, I think that should be done as a political statement. The country may have opened up, but we aren't going to. Why? Because I don't want to die. It's that straightforward. I don't care what their reasoning or lack of it is. We're at the 2-year mark. This should be going away. The last time we had something this bad was something that started in Kansas, but we ended up calling it the Spanish flu, and it took 2 years for it to peter out. It never really went away. It just turned into something a lot less dangerous, but it still killed people every year. It's not doing it. We're not getting the normal response out of viruses anymore. You need to stop acting like the same not doing anything is going to work. There's always been mask slackers and people who are denialists and anti-vax people and anybody who complained about any kind of restriction. I am no longer in favor of people not having the vaccine, if at all possible. Coercing them and pushing them into doing it may end up being needed. And now, instead of the booster shot, no, I'm not going to get the booster shot. What I'm going to get is the one for this one, or all variants. What they're going to need to do is have a polyvariant version of the vaccine that makes you have a sudden immunity to every one of the variants that we know about, whether they're dangerous or not. Because, again, this has some of the mutations that have been seen in the other variants that didn't do anything, but it had 32 of them happen to the spike protein coding. And again, this could disarm it eventually. But I don't believe in that kind of outcome. And yes, YouTube will flag this for violation of the rules about talking about stuff because we aren't allowed to talk about certain things anymore. It isn't that I'm doing misinformation, it's that YouTube is telling people to shut up if they're not experts. Which, if they just said, if you're not an expert on this, we don't want you to post, and if you do, we're just going to take down the video, that'd be fine. Instead, they say you're doing medical misinformation when you're not, and then shut on your channel instead of saying you're not allowed to cover the subject, and just be honest about it. That's the last I'm going to say about YouTube and Google for this video. Again, mask up, stay away from each other, institute your own lockdown restrictions in your lives, and every country's population needs to do that until the government go to hell. We're going to keep it from happening anymore because you're not locking down enough. We've been through this for several years now. We know how to work within a situation where we're acting like we're all in the clean room at the hospital. Why don't we just do that for a full year and see if that works? Because we've already been doing it. Why not just do it anyway? And if you're in a country where your politicians are opening up because big fat cats say otherwise, you need to fire all of them and explicitly tell them why. And don't let them have their jobs back. Say, no, I don't care if you apologize. We don't care if you reverse your decision. You're fired. Not because we're closing up, not because we're opening up, because you're incompetent. Fire the incompetent people, please. Thank you for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. Oh, and one last time, I got to say it. To hell with you.